Coming up on Tekzilla, new iPhone. Bet you knew that was coming. AT&T's 3G MicroCell when you're tired of standing on the roof to get a signal. Who's got the fastest wireless data network anyhow? We've also got a request for the ultimate dorm room sound system, help cleaning out the PS3, and boy, do y'all hate IR wireless keyboards. So fry up some bacon, scramble those eggs, butter that toast, and get your heart disease on, because Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by GoToMeeting, Squarespace, and the United States Air Force. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear you've already got.
Whether you're a beginner or tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about tech or the sassiest waitress at Just For You Cafe, we've got an answer for you.
And if we don't, we'll track down someone who does. Sassy.
They are sassy ladies over there.
You feeling sassy?
Sassy.
You still feeling sassy after AT&T drops the unlimited calling plan, or the unlimited calling plans? I dream the unlimited data plans on like everything in the future.
You know, it's not that big of a deal for me because my usage does not go anywhere near the 2 GB a month usage plan. So I'm okay with it. Paying a little less money a month is not that big of a deal for me. I don't go over the data. What does annoy me is the iPad tethering and the tethering services. That's a little bit on the annoying side that you have to pay extra money on top of the data plan that you're already paying for.
Well, the iPhone tethering services.
Yes, yes.
Well, no, it's for
isn't it for iPad? I thought it was for using the
iPhone.
iPad data for tethering.
In any case, while we understand AT&T's apparent need, and believe me, every other carrier is going to follow right in lockstep on this one, because if AT&T can pick up an extra $30 a month for tethering, why shouldn't the other wireless carriers? You know, we're going to talk wireless data network performance a little later in the show. Sasha Sagan's back, PC Mag's fastest mobile networks 2010. This is an incredible nationwide survey, and we'll ask him about where he expects data prices to be for wireless stuff. But there was something else that happened today. Worldwide Developers Conference this morning, right? Didn't they have some software coming out or something?
Yeah, there's some software. There's some software. New iPhone! It's going to be a new iPhone. I'm so happy because finally I get rid of my 3G and I can upgrade to something worthwhile. Not that the 3GS wasn't a good upgrade.
It's a great upgrade.
I'm just saying, I wanted to wait another generation to see what would happen.
You're not going Android? You're not getting an Evo?
I'm not going Android. I was impressed by the Evo, but I think I'm going to stick with the iPhone for now. By the way, the iPhone OS is now known as the iOS.
Oh, what a great name that is.
I don't know how I feel about that one. That one's a little like, I can kind of understand where they're going with that.
This is all part of Apple's transition from like underdog computer company to we are going to eat Sony's lunch and be the biggest consumer electronics manufacturer on the planet.
Right.
At least within their areas.
We're the owners of a relic now because they will no longer be selling the iPhone 3G.
Great. I'm the owner of 2 relic. Well, one's a bag of parts that used to be at 2G. And
right. Well, you have lots of spares in case you want to build some kind of Franken iPhone later. But you're going to be able to upgrade to iOS for free on June 21st for the 3G and the 3GS models, but you're no longer going to be able to buy a 3G model, but the 3GS will be available for $99.
That's a really good deal.
Yeah, so if you don't want all those fancy features, if you just want a pretty decent phone still, if it's still an awesome phone, you can get that for $99. I think that's going to be available June 24th as well when the new iPhones come out.
Speaking of which, Veronica, tell us more about the features in the fancy new iPhone.
All right, well, they will be available for pre-order on June 15th, and you'll get to have them in your greedy little hands on June 24th. It's going to be $199 for the 16 GB model, $299 for the 32 GB model, and you can get black or white, of course, but you have to get that 2-year contract renewal for AT&T in order to get those prices.
What a shock.
So you still got to be AT&T's bitch. They run with the Apple A4 processor. They've got an upgrade to the 802.11n for Wi-Fi, so that upgrades it from G or B.
I can almost
battery
pull off
life.
G in the house.
Yeah, battery life's got a little bit of a bump too. You get 7 hours of talk time with the 3G and 12 hours for 2G. So that's if you don't have, if you want to go back on Edge, you can use a little more talk time with that. It's really skinny. It's only 9.3 millimeters thick. It's a quarter of the thickness. It's a quarter thinner rather than the earlier version of the iPhone.
Wow.
So it's even thinner. I think it's the thinnest smartphone on the market now, or it will be.
But the screen isn't any bigger.
Yeah, the screen, it's still got the 3.5-inch screen, but the resolution's a lot better. It's 960 by 640 pixels, 4 times better. It's got that Retina display technology that they've been talking about. Are you just like, is that like BS to you?
Yeah,
like,
well,
Retina display technology.
Retina display technology basically means they've crammed the pixels together so tightly your eye can no longer distinguish the individual pixel. Basically, Retina display technology is basically saying your eye can't resolve the level of detail they can give you, which is awesome. And everybody who's seen it has gone like, it looks, you know, and then they do the precious and they hug it to their chest and they try to sneak off, right? You know, but
what are you talking about?
But have you seen anybody say anything negative about the new screen other than the size? Other than they want it to be bigger? No. Because they basically, they're saying...
But an improvement is not a bad thing.
I know, but like Retina display technology is like...
They need a fancy name for it, I guess.
It's a marketing term.
But to any extent, it's 78% of the resolution of an iPad right there on your iPhone. So that's pretty cool. It makes your existing apps look a lot better, but it's really optimized for high-resolution images that people can use in new apps or upgrade their existing apps to look a lot better.
This is good.
Yeah, so that's good. It's got a 5-megapixel camera, which is awesome, and an LED flash. And you know, that regular tap to zoom kind of situation, a 5-time digital zoom, I believe, as well.
Right.
So that's not bad. People are saying it's actually going to be a flip camera killer.
I want to know how much video I'm going to be able to fit after I get my audio and like a video and all of my applications loaded. Like, I wish you could put an SD card in it.
That would be nice, but you can do 720p HD video, which is really nice. And if you get the new iMovie application, you can edit it right there on your phone. And
for
then
$5.
This is going to be great for video podcasters and bloggers and people who are just taking little run-and-gun videos on the go.
Hopefully they'll actually be small enough that you can upload the videos over the 3G network.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because they always have that 20-megabyte cap on everything, so I guess they're going to be really short videos.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the cap situation is going to be.
I used my video in the field. Quick, run back to the house with
But you know what
Wi-Fi.
You can't do over your 3G? You can't use FaceTime. FaceTime! It's a new video chat that's built in right into the phone.
I want my wife to be able to get a because I'm getting the new phone, right? I'm getting the 4th gen. She's got a 3GS. I want FaceTime to run from the 4th. It won't work with anything other than another 4th gen iPhone.
Not yet, anyway.
When?
I don't know, but you can only use it over Wi-Fi too, so you can't really use it as a replacement for, you know, you can't do voice conferencing, video chatting on the go, really.
It goes from my iPhone to my Sprint Overdrive modem to the internets.
Yeah, but it does have that nice forward-facing camera now. It's got the forward-facing and the rear-facing camera, so that's nice. That's a nice upgrade. We've been wanting that for a while.
I am really stoked about the camera upgrades.
Yeah.
I would love an even bigger camera on the front of the phone, but 720p video. You did have me with
bigger
that.
Meaning what? Like bigger, more megapixels?
I want a 12-megapixel camera.
Fine. Really? Gosh.
As long as I'm asking for something I'm not going to get.
I understand. Apple says that they're working with carriers to let you do the video conferencing over 3G. I think they meant that probably for international carriers and not more carriers in the US, unfortunately. But what can you do? Well, Steve was having a little trouble getting his network connection working during the presentation today, and you may have something that could have helped him with that.
Yes, this is not a Wi-Fi thing, but it's basically our first femtocell review. Now get up to 5 bars in your home and coverage up to 5,000 square feet. Sorry, it hurts me to say that. That's what the AT&T 3G MicroCell homepage says. It's a delightful, can you say creamsicle? Ooh. Inverted, actually, white and orange box that connects your home network and acts as a mini cell tower in your home. It's actually, see, it says 3G MicroCell there. It has 5 bars, because that's what you'll be seeing inside of your home. And it's made by Cisco. The initial setup's actually stupid easy. There's an Ethernet jack because it doesn't work with any kind of wireless. There's an external antenna which is not for the 3G coverage. It is actually for a GPS antenna because as part of the setup, it actually locates itself basically, I guess to make sure you're not using it in Canada or Mexico or anywhere. A large group of iPhone users and other AT&T users are probably staring at their screens with hunger right now, wondering if this box works. I'm going to set you off right now. $150 box.
That thing annoyed me the first time I heard about it. I'm like, really? I'm going to spend $150 so I can get AT&T reception in my house when I already pay for coverage?
Shouldn't you give me this box, AT&T?
Give me the box. Like they should be giving me if they could prove that you can't even use your coverage somehow. Like, oh, she hasn't been able to connect to a call for the entire freaking weekend.
They probably
maybe
figured you were out of
somehow they
town.
Could pass some of these out around. You know, just give them to us.
It's
or
not
at least not $150. Like $50 maybe.
Maybe a free one.
I'd pay $50 for that. Tops.
Okay. Just so you know, Veronica will pay $50. That's the magic number. Look, and it's not just iPhone users that have trouble getting on the network. And I can't use AT&T in my backyard, the back half of my house, or the front yard. The second floor front of the house actually works. And I got to say, to AT&T's credit, Verizon does not work in my house, period, or in my front yard. And Sprint actually has problems in my neighborhood, too. There seems to be RF propagation issues in my part of the big, flat, sandy outer Sunset. So, $150 3G MicroCell. It's a femto cell. Uses your home broadband connection to create a mini cell tower in your home. You plug it in, but before you plug it in, you activate it online at AT&T's 3G MicroCell website. You use your AT&T phone number, your login and password. Big note in the registration process, E911 for this is key to the address you use during registration. So if you move the thing, because they allow you to do multiple addresses, if you don't shift the address and you dial 911, they will send it to the wrong house.
Ooh, not good. Not good.
So update the address online if you move this thing. So you can actually have it set up for like the beach house, the ski house, everywhere your AT&T phone.
Everywhere you don't get AT&T reception.
Yeah, you enter in a serial number, give it a nickname, you double check your address. And it's interesting, you add AT&T numbers to the device because it'll only work with AT&T numbers that are set up to work with your 3G microcell and only 3G handsets. AT&T numbers only. The Kindle, the Nook, the Sony Reader, the Q will not work with the 3G microcell. Quote, support for these non-traditional wireless devices on the 3G microcell is currently being reviewed. Notice they did not put the iPad 3G on that list.
Oh, yeah,
So,
I get great reception with my Whisper Sync on my Kindle. 3G works great.
it also just needs a little
Sprint.
tiny sip of data too.
That's
so
true.
That's
true.
Well, anyhow, once you registered online, you wait for the microcell to activate. It took about 20 minutes. AT&T says it'll take up to 90 minutes, and then things start lighting up. The power, basically, it makes sure it has an internet connection. There's a little satellite for basically GPS. You have to basically have it somewhere near a window so it can do GPS, and then you're done. It's weird, right? Because I guess they want to make sure you're not using it in Mexico or Canada or somewhere else, pretending to be local. Once it's got its connection, the 3G light will start blinking down at the bottom, and then it goes green when you have a connection, and then it's really kind of trippy. I left my phone in the other room.
Would it work with mine? It won't work with mine because you have to have your number registered with it, right?
As near as I can tell, it actually won't work in our office network.
Huh.
I'll try it again later, but the first time I tried to use it in the office network, it got shut down because I think either they're doing IP searching address or it's because of the insane security we have on the office network. So once it's up and running and it's locked in, like for your iPhone, it actually displays AT&T MicroCell up in the corner. So it basically tells you that you're locked in. 5,000 square feet is about 40 feet from the base station. I was over 30 yards from outside of my house before losing the connection.
So how does it know to switch over? Like if you're in your house and you're using the regular AT&T, is it, when it drops below a certain point, is that when the microcell kicks in, or does it automatically always work off the microcell?
Basically, once you come in range of the microcell, it logs in with the microcell.
Okay.
And I gotta say, it doesn't actually hand off to cell towers as you're leaving. So if you're the kind of person that starts a phone call before you drive away from the house, you need to drive away from the house until you have the regular cell tower 5 bars, not the MicroCell 5 bars on your phone.
I see.
Or the phone will you'll have a great conversation, then it'll cut out, and then you'll redial them because you lost your call.
Interesting.
So, and there was a little tiny bit of VoIP style lag. I gotta say, my network at home, can be really, really thrashed because of the nature of the amount of downloading my neighbors are doing. But there was the teensiest amount of VoIP style lag. It really wasn't that noticeable.
Not that noticeable?
Not that noticeable.
So I'm going to say, if I'm paying $150 for a microcell tower and I have VoIP style lag on my calls,
just a little tiny bit.
I'm going to start punching faces.
It was not as bad as many Skype connections I've used.
All right.
Not even remotely near as bad as
We'll
typical Skype
restrain the
connection.
rage.
All right, pros. It fixes 3G reception problems for AT&T 3G cell phones. Done. Setup's pretty painless, and you can move it and use it in multiple locations. Cons. Come on, what's the first con? Say it with passion.
$150 for the hardware, and it uses a wee bit of your home bandwidth on top of that. Also, the calls don't hand off, as we mentioned, between the microcell and local towers, so if you're leaving the house, it's going to drop. And it only works with AT&T 3G phones with AT&T numbers. No bueno for your family or friends that aren't on AT&T. It also currently doesn't work with wireless devices like the Kindle or the Nook, etc.
And unless you have it hooked up to an uninterruptible power supply and your broadband supplier stays up, it won't work during power outages. Of course, neither do most wireless phones plugged into regular landlines, which is how I got trapped in an elevator for 6 hours in my old apartment building. I gotta say though, if you want 3G to work in your house, you got to give it a thumbs up because it fixes the problem. You could move.
I could move.
You could move to some place where your phone worked.
That would make me slightly less angry for some reason.
If
I moved because AT&T sucked so bad in my house, that's so like something I would do. I'd be like, forget it, I'm leaving.
I'm keeping my iPhone, but I need a better place. And I gotta say, when I first moved to the house I'm in now, I was on Verizon. We got new phones. My wife and I got new phones like 6 weeks before we moved to the place we live now, the apartment we live now. The phones were unusable in the new apartment, so we literally ate over $300 worth of kill fees, and then went around and got new phones because the phones wouldn't work in our house. So something like this could prevent that problem. Silicon, what's the ultimate dorm room audio experience? You're going to find out, but right now, we want to thank one of our sponsors.
If you run a business that depends on far-flung colleagues and clients across the country or across the globe, getting enough face-to-face time can be a real issue. Travel is expensive and time is short, so what do? Turn to our sponsor, GoToMeeting. With GoToMeeting, you can turn your PC into a virtual meeting room. Work and meet with clients no matter where they're located. With screen sharing, you can demonstrate ideas, concepts, and collaborate in real time with attendees on presentations, documents, and spreadsheets. Plus, with the voice and chat tools, you can improve communication and strengthen relationships virtually. Worried about eavesdroppers or hackers? Don't. GoToMeeting meets some of the most stringent security requirements, so you can be confident that your meetings are kept private and free of any prying eyes and ears. And it's so easy to set up. Attendees don't need to sign up for the service to join your meeting. So cut back on the air travel, hotels, and rental cars, and try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. Just visit gotomeeting.com/Tekzilla. That's gotomeeting.com/Tekzilla for a free 30-day trial.
Welcome to this week's freebie download pick. A free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. This week, awesome duplicate photo finder. Digital photography has transformed the way we capture, share, and store photos, but it's also made it incredibly easy to have multiple copies of the same stupid photos sucking up precious space on your hard drive. What do? Run Awesome Duplicate Photo Finder, of course. This simple-to-use image duplicate finder scours your hard drives for duplicate image files. Just pick the folders you want to search and click Start Search. Awesome Duplicate Photo Finder will present you with 2 images it believes are similar, along with a percentage of how close it thinks those pictures actually are. You then have a choice to delete, move, or open up the folder where the image resides. And it doesn't matter if the images have different names or file extensions. So clear out all that space you've been wasting on duplicate images in your hard drive. Just download Awesome Duplicate Photo Finder for free. You want faster downloads, we want faster downloads. You're going to love PCMag.com's fastest mobile network 2010. This bandwidth test took on 6 3G and 4G networks in 18 cities across the U.S. and involved literally thousands of tests. Sasha Sagan oversaw the whole banana, and he's back with the scoop on who's got the fastest network across the United States. Sasha, welcome back, man.
Hey, glad to be back.
This is crazy. You sent like 2 notebooks, completely identical, a stack of modems to 18 different cities, and then what happened?
Yeah, well, we sent them to 18 different cities. We had over a dozen people doing the testing. Each person would drive around testing basically all the 3G and 4G networks that were available in that city. And then I got this gigantic spreadsheet back at PC Mag Labs, spent like a week crunching the numbers, and found that overall, across all of our cities, AT&T was, in general, the fastest network. But the thing you have to realize is they were not the fastest in every city. And some networks were faster in some places, some networks were faster in others. If a connection dropped below 3G speeds, like it temporarily dropped to 2G speeds during a transfer, or it dropped entirely, it lost a consistency point.
Okay.
And so we found that AT&T was the fastest, but they had the least consistency. They had the most drops. Now, Sprint 3G was one of the slowest, but it had the most consistency. So you got slower speeds, but it was more reliable. I
gotta say, I was kind of shocked that AT&T was the fastest overall. I mean, because you guys weren't looking at phones, you were looking at modems. Do you think there's a difference between the way AT&T handles their data plans for modems versus their data plans on the iPhones?
Well, I think one of the things that people need to look at more deeply, and maybe we should do a study of it in the future, is there's vast differences between the ways different phones connect to the internet. between different individual models of phones, speed, their speed rendering web pages, their speed downloading files, etc., etc. So the question is not only AT&T modems versus the iPhone, it's the iPhone versus all the other possible phones on AT&T. And we really need to see, now we've seen what's the fastest network. Okay, now we need to start looking at which phones are faster than other phones.
So was there any particular fastest city? Does any city seem to have better broadband connectivity or wireless broadband than any other city in the U.S.?
I think Dallas was generally pretty fast. Raleigh, North Carolina was really slow. Mm-hmm. And actually one of the surprises that came out was Sprint's 4G network is really inconsistent. It was super fast in some cities, and it was slower than 3G in some other cities. And that shows it's not just the technology. You have to have a complete and total build of the technology across the city, or you have this really uneven experience.
So do you think that's because there's some cities just have a lot more people using Sprint's WiMAX and the 4G WiMAX stuff, or is it just maybe an erratic antenna placement, or just
yeah, I think it's that they haven't put up enough towers yet. Is that they haven't blanketed these cities with WiMAX antennas yet, and they're kind of in the middle of that build. So it just shows, you know, how much of a difference there is between a build that's just starting out like Sprint 4G and, say, Sprint 3G, which is this really good, solid, all-around build that they've had for years.
So are there any particular, you know, is there a slowest network? Is there a network you would recommend people avoid for data plans? Because they actually seem to all be fairly close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't that far away from each other. There's nobody I would say you totally need to avoid, except there were some cities in which AT&T's consistency was really low.
San Francisco?
Okay, the thing about San Francisco is that we were studying the whole Bay Area. So we didn't pull out the city of San Francisco, which is the one part of the Bay Area where AT&T has particular problems.
Right.
Okay. But there were some cities where AT&T's consistency was low, and there were some cities where Sprint 4G just obviously isn't ready.
Got it.
So you need to take a look at our city-by-city results and kind of drill down to your city there.
I got to ask, you were hands-on with it. How'd you like the iPhone, the 4th generation iPhone?
It is sharp, and by sharp, I mean literally sharp. Like, it has sharp edges.
Really?
It's a new design. It's really cool. It's really interesting looking. I like the glass front and back. We'll see how durable that is.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The screen is beautiful, but one reason I want to get some more time with it is that, okay, so Steve talked for ages about the revolutionary screen and how it was higher res than the human eye can perceive.
Right.
Okay, so since it's higher res than the human eye can perceive, I was having trouble perceiving the difference between it and a Motorola Droid screen.
But this one's better, and it has a marketing term that involves retinas, Sasha.
Exactly. But no, it's definitely a cool phone. It's definitely state of the art. Nothing has been, you know, truly revolutionary since they introduced the App Store. But that's okay, because Apple has this ball rolling, and they just need to keep it rolling right now.
Sasha, awesome, 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 awesome wisdom as always. Anything big coming up we should keep an eye out for that you're doing for PC Mag?
Yeah, well, next month, okay, so this month we had the fastest mobile network story. Next month we are redoing our top 100 free apps for your phone. It's going to have apps for all the smartphone platforms, iPhone, Android, BlackBerry. We're going to even give some love to Symbian, Windows Mobile, and Palm.
You've actually found a Symbian device that works in the United States?
I carry an E72, okay?
I knew, somehow I knew you would be one of the last holdouts. Symbian's an amazing operating system. It's just they all disappeared a couple years ago. Oh my goodness. All right, Sasha, I want to get you back to talk about that if you can spare some time. It sounds awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find more of Sasha's most excellent mobile phone and service reviews and application reviews up at PCMag.com. And you can catch him regularly at Twitter.com/Sasha Sagan. Good stuff, people. Go check it out. Let's take a moment for a word from one of our sponsors, Squarespace. It's a publishing system for anybody looking to build a blog, a portfolio, or any kind of website. My very own website was built inside of Squarespace, mostly by my wife, because I suck at web development. Seriously though, even if you suck at web development as bad as I do, you'll like Squarespace. It's a really flexible tool, and it makes just about anyone capable of building high-end complex websites with no coding experience required. You'll get the same functionality that you can find on some of the most highly trafficked pages on the web, and if you're working on another type of website right now, there's a site importer tool that makes things easy to move over to Squarespace. WordPress, Blogger, TypePad, movable type imports, done. It'll get your posts, your comments, your tags, your authors, and your media, and it preserves your search engine optimization efforts. Users' page ranks will update seamlessly, and the move will have no impact on the SEO status that chances are you've been building up for a long time. Want to score a discount on Squarespace? Of course you do. After your free trial, it takes about 2 weeks, just use the code Tekzilla, T-E-K-Z-I-L-L-A, when you check out, and you'll get 10% off the lifetime of your order. Check it out now, people, squarespace.com. Brian sent us this email. He says, I'm going to be a freshman in college next year, and I'm rooming with my friend. We're looking into sound systems for our dorm room, and we're wondering what you recommend. We'll have a TV and most likely a dock for an iPod. As college students, price is a concern, but we also want an awesome dorm room. Brian. Awesome!
Well, the ultimate dorm room award has to go to one of Patrick's favorites, the Midas Multifunction Dorm Room Automation System. Built by Zach Anderson and his roommate at MIT, the system included web control, voice activation, a security system, large continuously running information displays, electric blinds, and a big red jolly candy-like button that brings on a one-touch party. Roll the video.
Do you want to hit the party button?
I got it.
Name it, read it, tune it, print it, scan it, send it, fax, rename it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, start, format it, buy it, use it, break it, fix it, trash it, change it, mail, upgrade.
Yeah, party mode is awesome, but you need to not flunk out while you're doing all that system automation to make that one work. I don't know if you're going to MIT. You probably get extra credit for doing that kind of thing at MIT. I don't know how other schools work.
Yeah,
that was pretty badass.
Or at least like street cred in the dorm room.
Total street cred. But remember, yeah, dorm rooms, small.
You don't need a giant megawattage amp. Matter of fact, it doesn't take a lot of amp to get loud in there. So pause before you get the giant, huge speakers that maybe you think will also double as wardrobes or something. And also, one big question, are you thinking dance party / thrash hall, or do you want home theater surround sound? A stereo with a decent subwoofer, like freaking like a stereo, set of speakers, decent subwoofer, I'd say used. I mean, I have a set of Klipsch iPod speakers with an auxiliary in that a 20 by 20 foot room would be almost painfully loud inside. You know, 5.1 with Dolby and DTS surround sound. If you want to do Blu-rays, would be really, really nice. Headphones are great for both of you, and they're a great way to still be friends by the end of your freshman year.
That's a great idea. Get a couple of decent monitor headphones even, if you want to have that real like room tony kind of sound, like an open space in your headphones.
Without
nice.
driving your roommate insane because they have a trig exam or calculus or whatever they're studying in school in your freshman year these days, because it was so long ago I can't remember, and I was an English major anyway. Speaker positioning can be a pain in a dorm room because, you know, they may not want you to drill holes, just toothpaste and paint them over at the end of the year, or there just may not be a whole lot of room, especially if there's built-in furniture. Small self-contained satellite style desktop or home theater speakers are super helpful, especially if you want to do surround sound, because they're easy to position everywhere. And I gotta
what
say,
about like a 5.1, like a virtual surround sound bar?
well, you probably don't, well, possibly, but then you kind of, the ones that sound really good tend to be a little expensive, but
That's
actually, Vizio's got one that doesn't sound bad that's pretty cheap. I think it's under $300. That could actually do it. It would fill the room. It's not going to give you, if you want to hear things behind you, the sound bars don't do so well, but if you just want something that'll go under your TV and fill the room with really good stereo audio, that'll work. I gotta say though, did people steal stuff in your dorm?
We had it was a little dicey.
Yeah.
It could get a little dicey. Yeah, used gear maybe would be a good idea in this case.
Craigslist, neighbors, your uncle, whoever who has a bunch of stuff in the basement. I had my second set of speakers, my first set of speakers fell apart. My second set of speakers I bought off of somebody selling them off the street for $10, or set of Ohm 2Es, amazing speakers, which unfortunately we were playing a particularly aggressive soundtrack at 11, and I blew I bought a big amp that was worthless. Instead of buying a smaller amp from a reputable manufacturer, it lit the woofer on the speaker on fire, which was covered with a giant stack of paperback books, which means a friend of mine had to tear down. Then I had to pick up the speaker, burned all of the hair off of my forearm as I ran into the bathroom to put it into the shower before it lit the dorm room on fire.
That's good.
So buy quality gear, buy used gears. The Paradigms I bought right after I lit the beat up speakers that I drove too far until they clipped and exploded. They're still rocking out in the workshop here. They're like 23 years old at this point.
Also, don't be a jerk. Like, don't play loud music in the dorms.
Right.
Like all the time. Like once in a
Don't be
while,
that guy.
don't be that guy
Or that girl.
Because I'm always the opposite of that guy. I'm always the guy that's trying to go to bed at 11:30 because I have a big test the next morning, and someone is like blasting music or watching a movie really loud. And it's like, sound carries a lot in a dorm building. So please be nice to your neighbors. Headphones, maybe. I'm going to back up that headphone plan fully.
Yeah. And figure it out if you want, look, if you want really good stereo music, if you want movies, surround sound's really cool, then you can be like the collecting place for everybody to watch movies.
That's true, you can have movie nights.
Movie nights in the room. I gotta say, maybe, okay, I'm gonna say
the girls always go for the movie nights, boys. Movie nights.
There you have it. Craigslist or used reputable manufacturers, satellite speakers, surround sound, and then start getting your Midas automation.
Well,
speaking's hard.
Yeah, switching gears a little bit. There's something totally annoying about having a boot camp partition on your OS X machine. All right, it's not being able to write it to the NTFS partition that Windows lives on, which brings us to Alan's question. I need some help regarding using a Mac with an NTFS hard drive. What software, preferably free, should I install to be able to write to an NTFS hard drive on my Mac?
Oh boy, this is like, writing and reading to one of OS X's HFS partitions is easy from Windows. You buy Mac drive, you install it, you never think about it again. Done. OS X has the built-in ability to read Windows NTFS file or formatted drives, but it won't write to it for various reasons, mostly legalish and reverse engineering NTFS, which OS X doesn't want to do in case they tick off Microsoft's lawyers. The pay for it and forget about it option for writing to NTFS drives from OS X is Paragon Software's NTFS for Mac OS X. Has a free trial, costs $40. The I'm willing to experiment to do it for free version is NTFS-3G. It's the community edition of it's like the free version of Tekzilla's NTFS for Mac. It doesn't have the spiffy caching options of the $31 paid version from Tekzilla, which also has a free trial. But props to Eric Larson and his Catacomb projects for a free download that's easy to install. The NTFS-3G safe read-write NTFS driver is also supposed to work on Linux, Mac OS X, OpenSolaris, FreeBSD, NetBSD, QNX, Windows, Haiku. You pretty much get your POSIX on. It's gotten a lot easier since the last time I wanted to write to a Windows NTFS formatted drive from OS X, Alan. But it's always, one, back up your stuff before you start experimenting, and two, if you're doing the NTFS 3G thing, make sure you use the tools inside of Windows to right-click and eject any drive, whether it's a thumb drive or a full-size drive, before you connect it to OS X, and make sure you properly drag it down to the garbage can or right-click and eject in OS X, because if you don't, you'll have massive issues, because sometimes OS X is still copying to the drive in the background, even though you think it's done.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, you can also turn off the caching options for OS X on installation. You have a choice between basically cache it and it'll write it in the background, or wait until it's done writing. If you're kind of paranoid, do the wait until it's done. And this, by the way, is an NTFS drive that I wrote to from OS X.
I just so happen to have right here.
Just so happen to have one. But yeah, it's cool. It's free. It's easy. Just make sure you properly eject your drive from both Windows and OS X. Just saying.
Coming up next, we got some more viewer questions, but first,
a special thanks to the sponsor of today's episode, the United States Air Force.
This is Titan 1-4. No signs of life.
Titan 1-4, hold your position.
What do you got?
Unmanned aircraft is identifying enemy sniper.
Copy that. Let's move. Thanks, Reaper 1-1. We got it from here. Sensors coming off target.
Learn more at airforce.com.
Gregory sent us this question from the far side of the world. Take it away, Gregory.
Hey guys, this is Gregory. So I just got my iPad here in Japan, and I really want to watch you guys while sitting in my tatami room, but unless I'm holding it up, which gets tiring, it falls over. Now, I really want to do this, so can you think of any cheap, and I mean cheap, stand solutions? Other than a cat. I don't have a cat.
I'm guessing you've seen the famous Mr. Littlejean's iPad stand photo. Yeah, isn't he sweet? Well, you didn't say how cheap is cheap. I've actually been playing around with the BookArc stand for the iPad from 12 South, and it's really super nice, and you can, position it in a few different ways. However, it's probably on the upper end of cheap for you at about $40 US. But it does come in a lovely box that they recommend you reuse. And speaking of reusing, if you still have your iPad box laying around, you can actually make a really neat little stand. Boing Boing has the directions, which basically consist of cutting the cardboard at the right angle. It even retains a little space for the home button. Here are some other relatively inexpensive options. Incipio is coming out with a kickstand case for around $30. Another one for $50 from Griffin, the A-frame for iPad. And 2PL has a $5.50 stand on Amazon, which is just a little wire stand, but hey, it still works. And for a measly 69 cents, you can get a business card holder from Office Depot. Andrew DeVigel posted some great pictures of this method at work on his Tumblr page, which you can see right here. And you can't beat that price, although I still highly recommend cats, though they might shred up all that beautiful tatami mat you've got there. What are you making?
I'm telling you, there's got to be a way to bend the code.
Instant iPad stand?
Yeah.
He's been working at this for literally 30 seconds, and it's already taking pretty good shape.
Here, you start with the next one. I'll
work
on bending this.
It's not pretty, but it works. Our next question comes from DJ. DJ writes in, I have a PS3 Fat, and although I've been dusting it regularly, the dust is getting pretty bad. Is it worth opening up the unit and blowing it all out? Well, no, it's not really worth it. You don't need to take it apart, but whatever you do, do not use compressed air to try and blow the dust out. That'll just force the dust into the PS3 and make it even harder to get out. Simply take a vacuum cleaner with a hose attachment and put the hose up to the ventilation slots and then suck the dust out. Easy peasy.
That's a really scary thought, sucking the dust out of your PS3.
Well, it makes more sense, really. I mean, you don't want to force the dust into like all the components and different, yeah.
I totally agree with that. It's just the whole idea of like vacuuming out the PS3.
And plus, I don't know how your warranty's going, but if you haven't voided your warranty, taking it apart will definitely probably do that.
Yeah.
Finally, we got a couple of replies to our wireless keyboard segment last week. First up is James, who writes, I feel I'm qualified to answer this question about the best couch surfing keyboard mouse combo because I spent 2 years finding a combination that works perfectly. I use a Gyration universal remote control, which, although it uses RF, works up to 100 feet away.
Wow.
And although it takes on a remote form, it feels natural and works amazingly well. Plus, it isn't a pain to set up. As for a keyboard, I currently use the Microsoft Arc keyboard, which I have working 25 feet away from the receiver. Before wireless mice keyboard combos were reliable at range, I routed a pair of 6-foot USB extender cables underneath my carpet to my couch and mounted the mouse receiver underneath my seat to the frame of the couch. While this solution is a bit medieval, it's extremely effective, dirt cheap, and will allow you to place the receiver extremely close to your seating if necessary. James. Well, he definitely... Look at you!
It's not pretty, but
like I said, it's not pretty, but it works. That took all of what?
You know, I bet if I
2
measured...
minutes, 3 minutes?
I bet if I measured, I could make one that's a lot prettier.
That is really nice. You could get it, like, do a felt covering if you wanted to protect it.
Stainless steel welding wire would be really good, too, because it'll, look a little more sophisticated.
It does kind of look like a Jiffy Pop container. That's what Roger's saying in our ears.
Look,
Very
you can
true.
use it as a handle.
But hey, we have more suggestions for keyboard mice combos. Next is Chris, who writes in to say, there's a great RF keyboard mouse combo from Rosewill. I've been using it on my HTPC for nearly a year now, and it has yet to disappoint. For only $30, you get a keyboard and mouse, and I found Rosewill to be a surprisingly reliable company. Chris.
I think Rosewill is the Newegg house brand. They do
really?
A lot of stuff. They do like everything under that brand.
Very cool.
I've stopped playing with this. Thanks to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, who wrote in. It's always great to hear what you guys are using at home. Remember, kids, coat hangers are everywhere.
You are a great guy to have around for this kind of stuff, I gotta say. That is not bad.
Quick, let's do some roofing. If you like fun and you love video games, you should be watching The Game Show. It's a video game show for adults, recorded live. Jim, Nicole, and Gweeds give you the latest and uncensored video gaming news, reviews, and coverage with an adult female, a woman.
Shocking.
A woman's touch. And she's respected. She's treated well, people. So get with the program and watch what is possibly the funniest video game show ever, The Game Show. Catch it every Tuesday at revision3.com/The Game Show. For everybody watching, we live on your questions, so email us, Tekzilla at revision3.com. Tech L product reviews, how-tos, fun you can have with a pair of pliers and a coat hanger? You ask us, we'll do it. But we need those emails, so don't be shy. Send them in to Tekzilla at revision3.com.
Or even better, send us in a video question. Think of all the fun you can have and the admiration of all your friends and family when they see your mug on our show. Just keep it to 15 seconds, upload it to YouTube, and send us a link in an email with video question in the subject line. And as always, you can follow us at Facebook at facebook.com/Tekzilla and twitter.com/Tekzilla. And you can go to our forums, revision3.com/forum. All that good stuff. We're all over the internet, folks.
And write us.
We're all over that
Thanks
stuff.
so much for watching. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Till next time, you've been watching Tekzilla.
Freshman.
Who?
Oh, come on. That was like the biggest song of like, I don't know, 1990 something.
Is it the verb pipe or the verb?
That's the verb.
Oh, the verb. I was.
Yeah.